Hello, my name is Reese Zulke. I am a student at SVSU, Saginaw Valley State University, and I'm in the occupational therapy program. The subject area for today is a walking and hiking kind of thing. The grade level would be 14 plus years, and the title of it is going to be creating a walking or hiking stick. So, a little bit about myself. Like I mentioned, I am in the occupational therapy program, and today is about transforming this basic everyday stick into a walking or hiking aid. So to complete this at home, you're going to need a stick of your preference, at least 3 to 5 feet tall. It's a good area, just something to give you some stability and be able to put your weight into it. You're going to want some kind of depth to it, so like a medium thickness to thick. That way it's not going to snap on you. You don't want it to be really dead or breaking apart. You're going to need a wood burner or etcher, which I have right here. Just a small little tool. And there's little pieces that come with it to help you etch. As well as sandpaper. You can either have a sanding belt, you can just have a block like this, or whatever gets you by. And of course, a knife, which is going to be for whittling and kind of creating the stick into the design you want. So mine has 2 heads to it. There's a saw edge, which I will not be using. And there's just a basic clean edge, and this is the edge that I will be using. So this is not a difficult learning task. Skills can be developed on your own and without instruction. That's actually how I learned it. I did it on my own. I did it when I was growing up camping with my grandpa and my family, and I kind of just liked getting into it. I don't camp as much anymore, but I do really like it. So I figured this would be a way for me to touch back to my childhood and kind of get a little bit of nostalgia going. So the costs associated are about $15 to $20 for the etcher. Nothing intense. You can reuse it. It comes with a bunch of heads. I think I have 6 heads here. And then you're going to need a knife. So whatever you prefer. So $10 up until whatever kind of price you want to use. And again, that can be reused many, many times. And about $5 for the sandpaper. Sandpaper can be reused also. So, as I continue through the lesson plan, we're going to talk about the goals. So the goals are to create a handcrafted walking and hiking stick through the directions right here, along with the crafting items provided. So we want to develop crafting skills and creative means for design. So just kind of use your imagination a little bit. Create your own product and completion appreciation. So you are making this. This is going to be your appreciation for what you've created. No one else has done it for you. You've been pretty much independent the entire time in your work. We want to really accomplish some auditory and visual learning, learn some techniques. So when it comes to the etcher, the sandpaper, and just kind of learn your way along the lines of whittling. And develop tactile skills. So when you're using the etcher, just using your manipulation and dexterity, whittling, so on and so forth. And then to improve competency and dexterity, like I mentioned, understand a variety and therapeutic sense, so using your mind and body. So not only is this kind of just having fun and just getting in touch with a little bit of outdoors right here, you are learning to be at peace, you're learning a craft, and so you should really be able to calm down and just know that you're in control of this task. And as you go on, you will get better at the activity. It might not be a first time thing, it might not be a 5th time thing, but you will get better. So you can overwrite mistakes through progress rather than regression and erasing. So if you come across a part that you've whittled and you've kind of etched it a little bit more, you can always go over it. You can carve out a little bit deeper for a longer area and kind of make up for what you've done. You can try and sand it down. You can etch over it, things like that. So once you make a mistake, it's not over. And lastly, overcome a tangible task. This right here should not consume you. This is just a minor thing. You can always grab another stick. You can do another task. This is just something to help you relax and just know that you're in control. This is all about you. There is no task requirement. You are just here to gain a little bit of skills and crafting skills. So, moving forward to the objectives of the task, each participant will choose a stick of their preference and will then follow the directions as we go through the video that I'll provide. So being that it is a better visual experience to follow the craft steps, this will be the preferred method of distribution because I can show you guys what's going on, what we want to try and do with the stick, with the whittling, with the sandpaper and the etcher, and it'd be better to not give this over a PowerPoint without a video embedded. So the participant will use a provided utensil. Ideally, we would be providing a blade or a knife, and you could begin your process with this, but since it is distributed through a video and online, you will need to provide your own if you'd like to do this task. So you will debark the stick. So I have a little bit right here on it. The rest of it I've kind of taken off a little bit to try and make the video a little bit simpler. So we do have a strip remaining, and we will go through that, a little couple other knots right here that I'll go over. Next, we will sand the stick with the sandpaper to smooth the edges and to avoid splintering. So as you whittle, you're going to have some rough edges where the blade came out, where you're not quite cutting it super even. And so the sandpaper will help just smooth the edges a little bit and make it a lot safer for avoiding splintering and things like that. Following that step, the whittling of the wood will take place. So that's when we're actually going to be carving into the stick and kind of making our own etches as we want before we use the wood burner. And we can carve the stick in the shape that we want or personal preference. And then we will not be making a spear. So many people will interpret whittling and making a walking stick with a spear where it has a pointed edge. We're going to be avoiding that. I have cut off the edge completely. I've sawed it off. That way there is no mistaking that. It's going to be a flat bottom kind of thing, just for stability and a little bit of extra walking assistance. And then after we etch, or after we whittle, we're going to sand all the edges again, smooth it down, and then we will use the wood burner or etcher, whichever you prefer to say, to engrave names, shapes, drawings, or whatever you would wish to do. And if you're able to complete this task without assistance, it will be determined successful and unsuccessful if it requires assistance. There's no pass-fail on it. It's just your own pace, your own little design, whatever you want to do. And then the primary objective is to develop a skill to smooth edges, learn a craft, and use creativity to make an ergonomic assistance tool. So ergonomic is just making it easier, just helps you, anything that helps you in your everyday life. So moving forward in the materials and resources needed, as I've previously mentioned, you will need a stick of medium length and circumference capable of holding body weight. So I'm a little bit bigger. I'm going to need something that's a little bit more sturdy, and I can really provide and push down on it if I want to. Not going to break, not going to falter, not going to bend, nothing like that, no cracks. It's pretty solid. So also necessary is a whittling knife, which I have showed. I have a sanding block, and I have my wood etcher. So really the only input we have on this is the stick that will be chosen by each participant. And for understanding, so ideally we will be doing this in person like I've mentioned, but we will have to do this by Zoom, we would have to do it by Zoom to teach it. I will be doing a video distribution, so you can watch this video and kind of follow along as you wish at your own pace. You can slow it down, stop it, restart it, whatever you wish to do to kind of keep up and understand it better. So for safety precautions, when it comes to a knife, of course you have a sharp blade. So you do not want to keep the blade out and pointed up. You want to keep the knife blade pointed down at all times and pointed away from your body. So when you are whittling, so when you start whittling right here, you do not want to whittle upward because it's going to be going toward your head. There's no bottom surface that might just slide off if you come toward your body. So what I'll be doing is I'll be whittling. I'll have the camera at a different angle. I'll be whittling down and away from my body. So I'll be going toward the floor. That way I have no body parts in the way, and I will also have no fingers, nothing like that. So we want to avoid all kinds of injury. With the wood burner, it is hot, it is electric. So when you do use the wood burner, just have to stick down real quick. You will want to grab it kind of like a pencil, pen, whatever you want to say. And you're just going to keep this end right here. This is the end that burns into it. And this is what we're using on the wood. So you do not want to touch this part to any part of your skin. It will burn you. Along with the extra pieces, we have these right here. You cannot see them very well. These will be used for engraving also. I'll use a couple other pieces for demonstration, but this will be the primary one. So like I mentioned, you do not want to touch your body parts to it. You do not want to set it on your carpet, on any kind of surface that could be burned, because it will slowly burn into it. So what I've done here is I do have a rock that I'll be using on it. That way I can just set it into its placeholder, and if it sets on the rock, it's no big deal. So, for the development, so participants will develop a sense of accomplishment by watching their product form as a result of their own work. So you are creating this. This is a product of you. Nobody has really helped you that much, and it's something that you can take home and say, I did this, I accomplished this task. So the task should assist with creating an understanding of quality that takes precision and time, and the harder and more carefully you work, the better the outcome. It is a patience kind of thing. You do not want to be rushing through it. It's unsafe to rush through it. So slow and steady kind of wins the race on this one. It can be related to what life stressors that you work through and learn from. And the next time you whittle or etch, you'll know techniques to avoid and techniques that you might have seen that worked better. So you can learn through it, and every time that you do it, progression should be seen. You can just kind of learn your own craft, and you'll learn how, like, what works, what doesn't work, what you might want to improve on, things that could have made it simpler, and surfaces that you want to work with, things like that. So moving forward into the guided practice. So ideally, I would be monitoring the participants when whittling to ensure safety. And like I mentioned, you should move at a controlled pace. Beware of hand placement, and always whittle in a downward direction away from your body. Do not be lax. Do not get too comfortable with the equipment. It can hurt you. It's not going to become safer as time goes on, and always be aware of what you're doing. There is no minimal task speed requirement for completion, but the time should not exceed about 45 minutes to an hour long. In this case, it will be less time than that because it's just a guide. I am not doing it in person, and you can slow down the video as you need. So I'll be doing it step by step, and we'll just work through it as we go. So for the independent practice, participants choose their sticks. You're going to clean up your own shavings of wood and choose your designs independently. I will be monitoring, but that will be all things that you do. And for a little bit of the closure, so following the completion of the task benefits and learned skills will be discussed, as will the technique required for functional completion of the task. So the task will then be discussed for adaptations that can be made to appeal to anyone wishing to participate in the activity. So a little bit of beginning with this. If you have some kind of impairment with your hand or dexterity, nerves, things like that, and you have a hard time doing this, we can try and cover some of those adaptations that you can make when it comes to whittling and etching. So really the main focus on this is that you enjoy yourself, you are at a peaceful state of mind, you're moving at your own pace, you're comfortable, and you want to have a good understanding of what you're doing. So there is no right or wrong. You just need to make sure that you're safe, that you are using your knife with precautions, your wood etcher with precautions, and that you are just checking for splinters and making sure that the area around you is safe. Make sure that your dog's not around or young children, things like that. So just be very cautious and follow the video as we go, and there should be no problems. Hope you enjoy. Thanks.